Yes.
All right, and that way, if you've got any colleagues who didn't make it to this meeting but are maybe especially interested in Lauren's presentation today, we'll be able to share that with them as well. So without further ado, the first thing on our agenda today is we are having a demo by Laura Campbell, who's with EBSCO, about Library Aware. So I am going to allow Lauren to share her screen and we can get started with that presentation.
Great, thanks so much. Thank you all for having me today and letting me join your meeting. I am Lauren. I work at Novelist. My title is Novelist Consultant, and so basically that means that I get to do a lot of this, talking to libraries and library staff from all over, just to share a little bit more about our products, how they can help you, how they can help your patrons, and also to try and answer any questions that you have as well. So today my general plan is I have like an overview of all the different features and benefits and functionality of Library Aware. So I'll go through that. I'll try to maybe pull over some examples of how libraries are using this out in the world or the different ways it could work. If any of you I know you all have Library Aware and are using it. So as I'm talking, if you have examples or, best practices or tips that you want to share as well, I would love to hear that. So feel free to jump in or, pop some examples in the chat or anything like that. But I'll kind of go over an overview and then I'll pull over Library Aware itself so we can take a quick tour around that. Maybe do some editing, see the different functionality in there as well. So if you have questions as I'm going through, you want me to talk more about anything, you run into like an issue and you want to see if I maybe know how to fix that, let me know. I'm happy to answer questions as we go through. And I will share my screen. So let's see. Share. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, are you seeing my want to do this, try this slide?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you. That out of the way. Okay. So this is a quick overview of our Novelist products, kind of everything that's under the Novelist umbrella. I like to start here because obviously our company name is Novelist. There's Novelist in some of the products, and you have a few of them, so it can get kind of confusing. So I'll just quickly go over some of them here. Of course, Novelist Plus, which you have, Novelist Plus and Novelist K8 Plus, those are our databases of really readers advisory resources for both patrons and for staff. Like, I like this book, what do I read next? Or all kinds of recommended reads lists, genre information, things like that in Novelist Plus. And then Novelist Select, I believe you all have Novelist Select as well, right? In your catalog?
We do, yeah.
Excellent. Yes, that's the piece that takes a lot of what you can find in Novelist Plus as far as like title read-alikes, author read-alikes, series read-alikes, and more, kind of pulls it out of Plus, plops it in your catalog so that people can see those novelist recommendations right when they're browsing in the catalog, when they're looking for things to read. And then, of course, today we're going to talk about Library Aware, which is kind of our marketing solution and template creation. Does a lot of different things. So let me go ahead and jump down here to Library Aware. Library Aware really designed to help you keep your readers engaged and informed, to help you promote your collection, your resources, your programs, and your value through multiple communication channels. So everything from program flyers and book displays in the library to things you can share on social media, email and newsletter sending capabilities and statistics, website content, and much, much more. Library Aware brings a really library-focused approach to all these different communication channels. So I like to think there's two main sections or two big buckets in libraryware, and then you can do a lot within each of those sections. So the first is Next Reads, or the emails and the newsletters, and that includes our Next Reads newsletters, which are curated reading recommendation lists that are automatically delivered out to customer inboxes. So I'll talk more about them in just a minute, but there's Next Reads, and then you can of course send all kinds of emails on your own for all kinds of purposes, to share book lists, make announcements, promote programs, things like that. You can send emails and newsletters as well. So there's the emails and the newsletters, and then there's all the templates for print and digital materials. LibraryAware has over 10,000 templates. New ones are added all the time. I mean, I see new content added at least weekly, if not more often, when I log into LibraryAware. So our designers are constantly adding new content, and they're all designed specifically for libraries by graphic designers with library experience. So we have two full-time graphic designers here at LibraryAware. They've both worked in public libraries before, and they're familiar with public library needs, and they really make these templates consistent, polished, as ready to go as possible. So really the hope is, you can just go in, grab a template and be good, be done, or maybe go in, pop in your date and time and be set. But really trying to save you a lot of that design work, that heavy lifting of having to create all of these different things from scratch. And oops, sorry. I realize I don't see the chat. So if anyone is chatting in questions, I'm so sorry. Let me see if I can.
Lauren, I can.
There we go.
I
I
can
was
keep
going to
track
say,
of that
yeah,
chat.
You
I
keep
can
an eye on the chat
too.
for me.
Yeah, if we see a question, yeah.
Ping me, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Next Reads, and I'm curious, are y'all using Next Reads, sending Next Reads? Have any feedback from customers about this part of it? Well, I will talk about it a little bit more. Sorry, and my mouse seems to, okay. Next Reads are our curated reading recommendation lists that automatically go out to customer inboxes. There's about 20 different lists, I think just over 20 lists that are all included in LibraryAware. They are subject and genre-based newsletters. So there's fiction and nonfiction topics, and there's something for all ages. But the way it works is you'll have an opt-in page, and customers go there and sign up for whichever newsletter or however many newsletters they'd like, and sign up, and then the newsletters go out automatically. They go out either monthly or bi-monthly, just depending on the topic. But there is the New York Times weekly bestsellers, and those go out weekly, but the other ones are monthly or bi-monthly. And when they go out, when they show up in inboxes, they look like they're coming right from you. So all of these titles link automatically back to your catalog. So pointing people back to your catalog where they can check it out, put it on hold, things like that. And you've probably set your branding, or if not, you can customize it. So up here at the top where it says Next Reads, you can definitely use that header if you want, but most libraries will swap that out for your logo, custom image, your branding, things like that. So it's very customizable about how that's going to look. And so a little bit more about Next Reads. Our librarians here at Novelist pick the titles, and they write these custom annotations for each title that's on there, which you can kind of see an example right here. But they make these annotations, they break them up, make them really skimmable, browsable, try and use reader-friendly language so that patrons can really decide, is this the kind of book that I'm going to be interested in or that I want to read or not? And then let's see. Do y'all have any questions about Next Reads? Do you edit, if anyone is sending it, I'm curious if you edit it before it goes out, or if you know all the different pieces that let you kind of customize this before it goes out or not. One question that I get asked a lot is, use the book carousel. Oh, nice. Okay. Yes, you can still use the book carousels without actually sending the emails. And okay, perfect. So new to us. So I'm just going to kind of go over everything then that works. I would like to show some examples. Sorry, Zoom seems to be just too much for me today. How do I? There we go. Okay, sorry. Now I've got it. I'll show you a couple examples. So the way this works is you create an opt-in page and then customers will go there and sign up for whichever newsletters you'd like. So I'll show you a couple examples of what these opt-in pages can look like. This is kind of our standard opt-in page. So you can see all the newsletters listed here. People would just come, enter their information, subscribe to whatever they'd like. This can look a lot of different ways. So here is a different opt-in page from Las Vegas. So you can see they've got a custom image up here. You can add these kind of like the book carousels that you just mentioned to the opt-in page as well. Get a little bit more information about any of the newsletters as well as see the latest edition here. So you can see the newsletters generally start with about 10 to, depending on the month, depending on the list, but they generally start with about 10 to 12 titles, and often half of them are the recent releases, so the newer titles here. And then if I scroll down, a lot of times they will add this kind of sub theme within the newsletter. So this month is short stories for a short month, but I've seen them do all kinds of fun, sub themes in there, everything from like books with meaningful first lines to different read-alikes and things like that. So these are slightly older titles, and they're often really fun ways to promote books. Also just promote your full collection. So really inspire circulation across your whole collection. And then you'll have your branding again down at the bottom there. Nice. And one more opt-in page here. Maybe. Yes, I like this one because they've added, so a lot of these newsletters, like this latest library network news, the adult programming newsletter, those are all custom newsletters that the library has created. So they use our templates, but they, create the content, add all that information themselves. But if you have like a monthly newsletter or, department newsletters, you can add those to your opt-in page as well. And then people just kind of sign up for everything, your list as well as the next reads all at once. So lots of different ways that can work. And yes, so Liz says we don't curate or edit the newsletters. You do not have to. Lots of libraries will let these newsletters just, go out as is. They're really designed to be a big time saver for you. I'm sure you know, like how long it takes to put together a reading list, and there's 20 of them. So if you're doing that every month or every other month, that's a lot of time. So our librarians can do all that work for you, and you can let them go out just as they are. If you want to edit them, you do have the option before they go out to edit, pull titles off, add different titles in, things like that. So just, again, whatever is going to work best for you in your library. I will also say, there are over 20. They all come included. You don't have to offer all 20 of them if you don't want to. If you want to start with maybe a handful, 2, 3, 4, however many you want to pick and choose, the ones that you think are going to be most helpful or most popular, you can choose just a few of them to start with. So then, in addition to Next Reads, you can also create newsletters for all kinds of purposes. So we have all different kinds of templates. I'll try and show you this editor in LibraryAware itself. But it's really, last April, we added a new drag and drop email editor. And so it just has some really great extra functionality. It's really easy to edit these, move sections around, pull sections out, add extra information in. You can save modules and reuse content from email to email. With this new editor, you can add video thumbnails, you can add GIFs. So there's some really fun features that you can use with our templates in there. And with LibraryAware, you get limitless options. So you have unlimited subscribers, unlimited sends. You can send as many emails to as many people as often as you'd like. There's no caps or anything like that. And you can have unlimited users. So one of the really nice things about Library Aware is that there's lots of different pieces to it. So it's, a communication tool for sending emails, but it's also for promoting programs and promoting your collection and things like that. So lots of different departments can utilize it, and you can have as many staff have access as you'd like. There's also different user roles that you can assign, from someone who can just go in and print things that have already been created with no editing at all, up to, of course, admins who can schedule emails, push content to social media, things like that. You also get, of course, all the images and graphic elements included in Library Aware. That includes the book jackets and AV covers. So another great time saver there. You don't have to go hunting for book jackets anymore. You just search for what you want and pull it in right from Library Aware. They're all, high quality resolution. The copyright's taken care of for you. So you don't have to go hunting for those book covers or copy and paste anymore. Right. Questions or thoughts about the emails or the next reads part of new Library Aware?
Hi, this is Kathleen at CCS. I did have a question about linking. So if let's say I want to use one of your newsletters, maybe it's like the romance reads. Are those covers automatically linked to the catalog already, or do I have to like hunt the link down and then drop that in?
For next reads, no, they should already, as long as you have next reads enabled, that should have been set up when you started. And so the links are automatic.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Actually, I hope we have time to take a closer look at Library Aware in a bit, but let me just show you the newsletter real quick. So this is up here, the newsletters. That's where you get the next reads newsletters. A couple quick pieces. One is the advanced list here on the left. So if you want to see an advanced list, we do give you a list of titles that are going to be included in the next reads newsletter in like the next 2 to 3 months. So right now I'm looking at all of them. You could narrow it down to just a particular list, but you can take this time if you want to come in, see what you own, what you don't own. Some libraries will kind of use this for collection development, but you can come and look and, oh, I'm sorry, I should have checked. What catalog do y'all use, or what ILS, I mean?
It's Polaris.
Oh, perfect. So I don't know if you all have on the shelf set up or not, but if you want to do that, we can get that set up for anyone with Polaris, and it will tell you right here whether you own this title or whether you don't. And so that's really easy. Just like yes, no. If you order with Baker and Taylor and you don't have it, you can connect a B&T cart and just pop things into a B&T cart. Or if it's a title you don't have, or you don't want to include, you can flag it for deletion. And then when you look at the draft itself, it's going to be outlined in red as like, hey, you wanted to do something with me. There are a few newsletters that don't have an advanced list. For maybe like 2 or 3. For example, the Page to Screen doesn't have an advanced list because they're trying to include like the most current titles, but most of them do. And all of them have a draft that you can edit before it goes out. So let's look at one of these issues here. So here you can see this one's scheduled to go out on the 20th. If I want to make changes, I can come in here and if you want to add in extra sections, you can. So if you want to use this space to like promote a program or a book club or make announcements, you can actually add in images or text or different sections, or even between books, you can add content. If you want to remove a book, you just click on it and pull it off. If you either want to change a book or add in an extra book, you just come here, search for the book that you do want to include, find the edition that you want, and then it's going to format it and pull in the cover image, the link to your catalog, title, author, annotation, just pops all that in there for you.
Wow, that's great. I do have a question in the chat. Maggie Crossed by Kites, she asks, we know that it links up with Baker and Taylor, but can you link it up with other vendors? So for example, like Ingram or Midwest Tape?
We do not. No, it's just Baker and Taylor, but it sounds like y'all use Ingram and Midwest.
It depends on the library.
Oh, okay.
Some are
Okay.
Baker and Taylor, but some are using Ingram,
Gotcha.
and then some Midwest tape, depending on what format is being purchased.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, no, it's just Baker and Taylor. But I'm glad you said that, because every time someone mentions that, I do let our team know, as kind of like, so we can keep track on who's would benefit from what. So
Okay. Thank you.
definitely. Another thing, so again, you don't have to edit these before they go out. Some libraries will just promote like, hey, if there's a title that we don't have, let us know, or here's the link to our suggested purchase form, or, something like that. But again, you can, if you do want to edit them, you can also set up email alerts and get an email ping anytime there's a new advanced list or a new draft. And so you can set that up for like all the lists, or just the one Jeep star that maybe you're responsible for. So I would find that to be super helpful, because the weeks fly by, and I always appreciate a reminder. All right. So in addition to the emails and the newsletters, there's a lot of other things you can do with Library Aware. You can create content for your website, and you can do that in a couple ways. One is by those the book carousels that someone had mentioned they're using. So you can create these and add them different places on your website. They just make some of those nice like virtual browsing opportunities. You can pull titles out of your catalog, feature them different places on your website. And these are tied into the newsletters. So either the Next Reads newsletters or custom newsletters that you create yourself. But it's nice if you tie it to a Next Reads, because then anytime a new edition of that newsletter goes out, the website's going to automatically, or the widget's going to automatically update. So you get that regularly for fresh content without, an extra step or having to do anything. You can also make your own lists. So if you wanted to do like staff picks or like our book club picks for the year or anything like that, you can pull in book records. You can even pull in multiple book records at once into a newsletter, and then still use it to create a widget. And like you said, even if you don't want to send it as an actual email, you can still use it to create the widgets. And I'll show you just a couple quick examples here of what this can look like. So these are custom lists, the staff favorites, book club reads. These are custom lists that the library's created in Library Aware and added to their website. But there's lots of different ways they can look. This is another site. They've got a little bit of information about each. These are the Next Reads newsletters. So these would be the ones that kind of automatically update with each edition. Or you could do something like here, where the widget just looks a little bit different. Whoops. Let me refresh that. That's not what it usually looks like. There, where the widget just looks a little bit different, but here you can like click through and you get the annotations as well. So just a couple different views there. In addition to the book widgets, we have all kinds of templates of different sizes, different aspect ratios that you can also add to your website. So either as like a standalone image or as sliders or embeds or different widgets, you can add them to your website, or you can share them out on social media. Library Aware links directly with Facebook and with Twitter. So right from Library Aware, you can just push content, schedule content ahead of time to Facebook or Twitter. If you add a website widget like this, these rectangular images, the story times, and the too many books, those images that are scrolling across, those are templates that were either made or edited in Library Aware and then pushed to this website widget. And you can even say like, I want this image to go up on this date or come down on this date, kind of schedule that out ahead of time. So, yeah. All right. How are we doing on time? Because I can keep I have more that I want to share, but I can also just keep talking, and I want to just might be mindful of your agenda also.
Yeah, no, we allotted 45 minutes. You said even like up to an hour with questions. So if there's other things you want to show us, we definitely have time for it.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So, in addition to all of that, if you want to promote your collection, looking to make some readers advisory materials, we have all kinds of templates that you can use. So you can see just a few of them here. But this is where you might notice some content, some lists that maybe start or live in Novelist Plus, and then they also show up here in Library Aware. So our graphic designers work really closely with our the librarians on our staff to take a lot of those lists and things that you might find in Novelist Plus and turn them into these really great flyers or widgets or bookmarks that you can then either print out or share online or share on social media. So these are great. Again, they're kind of like, a book list and a display and a flyer all in one. So another really nice time saver there. And they do these for all different kinds of things. So for fans of lists, like if you like this movie or this TV show, here's some books that you might like as well. They'll make flyers for those, and they add new ones all the time. I think some of the most recent ones that I saw are for fans of Daisy Jones and the Six, or they've done like for fans of Wednesday. So they're constantly adding new ones. They're very quick on those, and they're a lot of fun. They also do like reading maps. So if you like this book, or while you wait for this really popular book that's on hold, here's some other books that you might enjoy as well. Or flyers that kind of tie into our novelist appeal language. So for example, there's a flyer of like heartwarming and leisurely books. Or for kids, there's a silly and gross book flyer. So just lots of ways to highlight your collection. And again, a lot of them, almost all of them, come with these titles picked for you. So again, a big time saver, but it's super easy to swap out cover images or change the wording or anything like that before they go out. So I'm going to pull over. These are some of the latest templates that were shared on Twitter. So you can see like this for fans of Book Talk. That's a Library Aware template. This neurodivergent characters, that's a Library Aware template. There's that for fans of Daisy Jones and the Six. And some of these, like this one, you could print that as a flyer, hang it in your library, also share it online. So take a shot at reading. That's a Library Aware template. And they may have changed like a cover or two here or there, but for the most part, those look pretty much like exactly what you're going to see in Library Aware. So when we go into Library Aware, I'll show you, you can keyword search if you kind of know exactly what you're looking for. You can also browse by different formats. So if you're just looking for like bookmarks or those book flyers, you can browse by format, or you can also browse by collection. So if you just want to look at seasonal templates or maybe library advocacy templates, you can pull those up as just another way to zero in on what you're looking for, really see all the different content that's available. And make it your own. These are really customizable. Any of the images, the pictures, the icons, the titles, the colors, the fonts, all of that can be changed as needed. Or not at all. And then if you're looking to promote your programs, with the drag and drop email. Oh, yes. Can you upload your own graphics and assets? Absolutely. You can upload as many images as you want. So if you have, like logos or photos of your library, or if you're using one of the summer reading themes like CSLP and you have those images or graphics, you can upload them to LibraryAware and then use them in the different templates.
We had one other question too. I'm sorry. Stephanie
Yeah.
asks if they were to flag a book from the advanced list, kind of looking back at like the web assets we were talking to, will it automatically not show up in the carousel?
So if you flag it from the advanced list, no, that's just flagging it. You have to go into the draft and then it will be outlined in red in the draft and you'd have to delete it from the draft. And then once you've done that, it doesn't show up in the email and it doesn't show up in the carousel.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I think think that was a question that I missed. Okay. So if you want to promote your programs, we have all different kinds of print and digital materials for that as well. So again, just a couple examples here, but if you are presenting it, hosting it at the library, check LibraryAware. We have templates for all kinds of programs. Of course, everything from like summer reading, flyers, book lists, reading logs, to BAM Books Week, story times, music programs, art programs, technology programs, homework help, all different kinds of things. And our designers will often try and do maybe like coordinating sets or different formats. So maybe a bookmark that matches a widget that matches an e-blast so that it's easy to consistently share out the program in several different places. We had talked about branding briefly with the emails, but you can see here some of these templates have this like gray branding placeholder. So again, that's where you'll set your branding to look however you'd like. And then any of the templates that have that placeholder is just going to pull it in automatically for you. So really easy to be consistent as far as your branding goes. All of the emails have it, but you'll notice like not all of the print or digital templates do. And you can put these templates everywhere, put these images everywhere. So if you have TVs, digital signage, you want to add them to like computers or self-checkout machines or anything like that, put them everywhere. And then for everything else that kind of pops up in the day, again, if you need to make it, you need to print it, you need to share it, check LibraryAware. We have templates for all kinds of purposes, everything from general signage to clothes for the holiday flyers and widgets, so you can easily, announce your schedule, reading logs, book signage, book display flyers, book bundle flyers and tags. If you're doing any of those like grab and go, kind of like take and make art kits or take and make craft kits, we have flyers for those. Bingo. You can see one of our infographics here on the left. So we have several of those. If you need to, do a board report or you just want to share out with your community the impact you had over the last year, you can use one of our infographics and add in your numbers. And then to promote your online resources, your databases, we have kind of those coordinating kits. So a bookmark that matches a flyer, that matches an email. And these we have ready to go for things like Novelist Plus or Learning Express or some of the other resources that you see here. But again, you can customize these. If you want to change out the logos or the descriptions or the images, you can do that. Or we have some more generic email templates where you just kind of like plug in whichever database or resource you want to get the word out about. And with LibraryAware, it's like a one-stop shop, right? So it's the creation hub where you're creating and editing all your templates. It's also the distribution hub where right from LibraryAware, like you save there, you print from there, you schedule things to Facebook or Twitter, you schedule out your emails, push content to your website. You do all of that right from LibraryAware. As well as on the back end, all the functionality you need to manage your subscribers, edit your lists and things like that, create those different interest groups if you wanted to do like a departmental newsletter or a monthly newsletter or anything like that. You can create those different segments to send targeted messages. And then to your metrics, all the statistics. So for all the emails and newsletters that go out, you'll see like how many people was it sent to? What's the open rate? What's the click rate? So you can really see which of your promotions are doing well, having lots of engagement, which ones are maybe not that you should tweak or maybe stop doing, but we give you the statistics to back all that up. All right, so I'm going to pull LibraryAware back over and we'll kind of take a tour around that. While I'm finding it, does anyone have questions or thoughts? Nope, that's Twitter. There we go. Right, so this is Library Aware. Of course, this is what you'll see when you log in. From here, you can do a keyword search, so if you know what you're looking for. We also have some carousels that you can browse. So the first here is the new releases. These are the latest templates that our designers have added. And like I said, they really do add things at least weekly. So it's nice to log in often and see the new things that they've added, because there's always something great that's been added in there. My start items. Why don't I have any start items? Think I'm in the wrong account. All right. Normally you will see, and let me see if I can. Oh, are you hearing that? My computer is very angry at me. All right, I'm just going to open up a new tab. Sorry. Anyway, you'll see the My Start items here. So those would be things like that you were working on recently or that you starred. This is not where, sorry. And now, can you all still hear me? Because my computer screen has completely frozen on me.
Yeah, we can still hear you perfectly.
Okay, good. Do need to get out of that though. Sorry. Okay. I don't know. I'm hearing like an angry beep every time I try and open a new tab.
We can't hear it.
Okay, I can, and it's yelling at me. But let's see, where did that go? Dun, dun. I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. No, I really want to show you all around Library Aware. And just everything is completely frozen. You know what? Can I log out and come back in real quick?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
Okay.
completely fine.
Let me try that.
Okay.
And I will see if I can be right back.
Okay. Okay, so while Lauren's moving in and out, I'm already thinking to myself, how great carousels. I know we have carousels in PAC, but using some of the ones that they have, those can be placed in too. Also the custom images for programs she talked about, were you to create any sort of image like that, that could also be placed in your Power Pack. So I'm thinking how easy that would be to switch out, and getting kind of excited about some of the options that we see here, especially not having to create links in all of those newsletters. Those being pre-populated makes my heart so happy. So I'm not having to chase those down. That's awesome.
Yeah, and for me, I was very excited about the advanced list that you can look at and kind of use this for a little collection development, because I definitely do use our Library Aware newsletter sometimes to just sort of double check and be like, oh shoot, I don't have that one. Quick, we'll buy that one. So even if it's not directly linked into what vendor I'm using, that seems like that could be super helpful. So, oh, hi
Yeah.
Lauren, you back?
I'm back and I think I am good. Can
Okay.
you enable me to share my screen again?
Absolutely. Let
please?
me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the issue, but I think I should be good.
Okay. Let me just make you co-host again.
All right.
And yes. Okay. So you should have that sharing now.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
Great. Awesome. Thanks.
And you should see Library Aware again, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Yes. So, okay, there we go. Okay, so we have the new releases, then we have those starred items. So those are the items that you were working on or that you starred. Just makes it easy to come in and pick up where you left off. We have staff picks. So these are some of our our staff favorites or things they just want to highlight. So it's fun to log in and see what they've chosen this month. And then trending now, these are across all LibraryWare users, the templates that are being used the most right now. So it's fun, maybe just come browse, get some ideas. Maybe there's a program or a display. You can get lots of great reading display ideas here. I know when I worked in the libraries, that was one of the harder things for me to come up with, was new displays each month. So you can come browse, see if there's something you want to use from here as well. If you ever have questions, you get stuck and need a little help, there's a couple ways you can reach out to us. Down here in the bottom left where it says Stuck, chat with us, you can live chat a member of our support team. They are awesome at kind of like answering your questions in real time, walking you through things. So please don't ever hesitate to chat in if you have questions. If chat's not available or you just like don't want or need to chat with us, down here in the bottom right where it says help and support, you can send us an email and someone from our support team will get back to you. Or up here in the top right, this question mark, that's going to link you out to our knowledge base. So there's all kinds of tips and tricks, how-to articles, like recorded trainings, links to our live trainings, things like that there. Okay, so we, across the home screen here, we have folders. If you have a lot of staff at your library in your account that are all using LibraryWare, you will see each other's folders. So that can be nice for collaboration, but sometimes it might also be helpful just to look at my folders or recent or starred or archived folders. Newsletters, we looked at that. That's where you get the Next Reads newsletters. Subscribers. So this is where if you had any lists, like ongoing lists or things like that that were already started, you could, if you wanted to, bulk upload all of them into LibraryWare at once. You can customize your opt-in page, make different interest groups, all of that you do hear from subscribers. Reports, this is where, and I'm sorry, I don't really have much to show here in my account, but actually, let me see if I can do this real quick, because the reports really have a lot of information in them. See if I can I think this is that other account that I was in that kind of locked up on me earlier. So let's hope that we're okay this time. Okay. So here from reports, if you have things scheduled to go out or that have posted recently. Nope. Yes. Sorry. Here you go. If you have things like these are scheduled to go out in the future, these have been posted recently. So you'll see that list here and where did it go to, like email or Facebook. So you can kind of get that schedule there. The metrics, this is where you'll see all your statistics. So for emails, you'll get this nice overview of like how many total emails did you send and how are they doing. Also for each individual email, you'll see the open rate, the views, total clicks, unique clicks, individual link clicks, and any bounces or unsubscribes. You can also filter these results in different ways. So if you want to change the date range that you're looking at, you can, look at a certain date range. If you group your promotions by folders, so if you send like all your winter program promotions from one folder, you can just look at that folder and see how those statistics for that event did. Or sometimes I like to look at just the things that I sent. How are those doing? So you can filter those in different ways, and any of them you can export to a CSV. And then admin, this is where, you set your branding, you link to your social accounts, add users, all of that you do here. So I do quickly want to show you, I'm going to go back into folders. Over here. How to edit like the book flyers and then also the new drag and drop email editor. So I'm just going to go in and create an item. From here, you can see if I want to just look at a certain format or a certain collection, I can limit that over here. If I find a book flyer or widget that I want to edit, just open it up. From here, you can change, any of the the fonts or the colors, move things around. You can edit all of that from here. Just change that font. And if you want to change any of like the images or the book covers, it kind of works the same way. So you just click on what you want to change, come up here to the swappy arrows. From here, you could replace it with one of like the photos or the icons or different things here. So you could replace it with any of these, but probably that one we're going to want to replace with another book jacket. So again, you just search for the jacket that you do want. Find, the cover image that you want, and it pops it in for you. Once you've saved this, right from here, you can push it to Facebook or Twitter. If you've got any website widgets set up, you'll see those listed here, and you could push them to the website widgets also. Let me get out of this. And then I'm going to look at just the new drag and drop email editor templates here. So you can see just some of the variety of templates that you can start with. There's a couple more blank ones if you kind of want to build your own as well. But if you find a template you like, just open it up. And this works a little bit differently than the newsletter editor we were looking at before. So here with these emails, if you want to get a device preview, oh, and I like this one, it's got the dancing rainbows, so you can add GIFs. But if you want to get a device preview up here, you can see what this is going to look like if you're reading it on a computer versus a tablet versus a phone, and you can get that preview there. If you want to make changes, it's easy to like pull things out, to copy things, to move things around. If you want to pull in extra sections or extra content, you just pick what you want, drag it over to like a big image, or if you want columns, you drag those over, and then you choose what you want each piece to be. So maybe that's a big image, or you want text, or like a clickable button, but you just drag all that over and then you can edit from there. So the book content, again, this works a little bit differently. There's two ways. These book covers here are added as images. So you had asked, does it link automatically to your catalog, or do you have to add each link? For the ones like this that are kind of images, you do have to add each link yourself. So you can come here and click additional link options and just navigate to the title that you want to link to. Or you can use the modules, the template modules, and these will work a little bit more like what we saw in the NextReads editor, where if we pull one of these modules in and then we search for the title that we want, you can find which one you want, and that pulls everything in for you kind of all at once. So, but then you could edit, you could change the background color. Probably don't need to include that in your annotation. So, make the changes as you need. All right. So thank you for bearing with me through a little bit of technical difficulties there. What questions or other things do you want me to show you while we're here? I hope this was helpful and has inspired you to use LibraryWare a little bit more, or in some different ways than maybe what you've been doing. If anyone's had success with LibraryWare, I'd love to hear about it. All right.
Okay, great. Well, I think there's a lot to look at there. So Lauren, thank you so much for being with us this morning. And then everyone who's here that is non-PAS, I'll go ahead and share this recording out. So if you missed it, you can watch it back. I'll also share Lauren's contact information should you have a question. Lauren, is that okay?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
And I will send you, Kathleen, a follow-up email that just has like some links and some different things. So feel free to share that out as well. And I can even, I'll just pop my email in the chat right here as well. But yes, feel free to share that. And you can always reach out to, as you're thinking of other questions or anything like that,
Okay.
feel free to reach out. There you go.
Okay, perfect. Well, Lauren, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And
All
Meg,
right.
whenever, thank you. All right. And then Meg, whenever
All
you're
right.
ready, go ahead and drop us over to the next item.
Thank
Sounds
y'all.
great.
Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren.
You're welcome.
All right. So then let's move on to our next topic. So we move our little, here we go. So our next item on the agenda, Rachel from CCS is going to talk about scrap local heading proposal for media tie-in heading. So Rachel, feel free.
One moment, I need to share my screen. Can you make me co-host?
Yes, let me pop over and do that real quick. Okay, Rachel, you are co-host.
Can you see my slides?
Yes, perfectly.
So recently, Scrap received a proposal for new local subject headings for media tie-ins. Scrap and Cam discussed the proposal and is interested in hearing the opinions of past members. The new headings would be video game tie-ins, TV tie-ins, and movie tie-ins. So you may be wondering what the difference is between an adaptation and a tie-in. An adaptation directly references the plot and characters of another work, such as when a book is made into a movie or a graphic novel is created as an abridged version of a classic. Tie-ins do not include the exact plot of another work, but the characters from that work are included in the new work. So an example is when characters from a movie are used to make a video game. Easy readers are frequently media tie-ins as well. So this is an example of a TV tie-in. It's a record for a Smurfs Nintendo Switch game. Scrap members researched the topic and did find the term tie-in used in Goodreads. We know there is a Media Tie-in Writers Association. However, the terms don't seem to be used frequently online or to search with. So our questions for you are, do you think that these subject headings will benefit the patrons or staff? And will they be used by the patrons or staff when searching? So feel free to unmute yourself or type in the chat if you have any opinions.
Rachel, this is Kathleen. I have a quick question. So would this be an example where, like, for example, if somebody searched for like The Last of Us, now that later on, like when that comes out on like Blu-ray, would the idea be that you would see like the video game and the television show like living in the same search results?
If you searched for video game tie-in, that could be in the record for all of those records, but someone would have to search for video game tie-in for that to be useful. But
Yeah.
if video game tie-in were added to the records, that would be in a lot of different records. So, for example, with that Smurf video game, that's a TV tie-in, not only would the Smurfs game come up if you search for TV tie-in, a lot of other things could come up, like graphic novels, other video games, all sorts of things could come up. Easy readers.
Okay. This is Meg from Prospect Heights. I'm thinking just a little bit of clarification, and some of it might have just been the example we just used, because that sounds more like an adaptation to me, like The Last of Us game, because I think it followed the game, the TV show is following the plot of the game pretty well. But something like an easy reader where like, I don't know, like Barbie or something, like where like it's clearly an adaptation of a Disney character or whatever. So it's not the actual story that's in, you know, some actual, like it's not actually the plot of Cinderella, but it's characters from Cinderella going to school or whatever. That seems more like what we're talking about as in terms of a tie-in. So I guess my question is, would the tie-in subject heading encompass both adaptations or tie-ins, or is it being used specifically for tie-ins?
It's supposed to be specifically used for tie-ins because there's already an adaptation subject heading. And some of the criticism that came up at the CAM meeting is that it is a very broad subject heading. And so it could potentially be difficult to even figure out how to apply it. It might be hard for catalogers to understand whether something is an adaptation or a tie-in, because there could be crossover, and it's hard to come up with examples too. I think one example could be Star Trek books, because there's a lot of Star Trek books that are not the exact plot of the television show, but are new books. So those would be considered tie-ins and not adaptations because they don't reference the plot of a specific season, but they're new material.
Yes, that makes sense. Okay.
But I was thinking that there's that line too between like an adaptation and a tie-in where the True Blood television show from HBO has certain features in the plot that are very different from the book, but there's also moments that are very similar. So in a way, there's like that line between whether you'd consider it a tie-in or an adaptation.
Yeah, I think that that would be my main question, would be like kind of how do we set those guidelines? And I feel like that could be very difficult for catalogers to have to figure out if they're not already intimately aware of a certain like fandom to know that this is not the same plot as on Star Trek, you know.
Right. It's almost impossible to tell sometimes unless you really know it and have taken the time to read it or watch it.
Well, I know we have
some.
some chats. As I say, Kathleen, do you mind if I read them off?
Please go ahead. I
All right.
will be quiet.
So Liz from Glencoe says, I think staff is more likely to use these. Sometimes it's difficult to find the other versions. Nancy from Crystal Lake, probably more useful for staff. I don't think patrons would understand. David from Prospect Heights says, I know I would use this a lot as a patron if I knew about it. My favorite type of book in is media tie-ins. Patrons, Becky from CAPL says, I think patrons who were interested in a specific character or franchise would be more likely to search for that character or franchise and not use the term tie-in. So it sounds like the general consensus from the chat is that this might be a helpful feature for staff and very specific, like kind of super user patrons, but I don't know that they would necessarily think to do that, and it would be more helpful to make sure that we have like the characters or the name of the original thing in there somewhere. Seems like that's what the chat is saying. Does anybody else have any thoughts or questions about that? No, I'm not hearing anything. So again, if you think of something later, feel free to email myself or Kathleen or Rachel. But that sounds like that's what people are thinking. Rachel, did you have any other questions or anything you wanted to share about that particular topic?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to share my screen again, bring us back up to the there we go. All right. So then the next thing we have, Kathleen wanted to survey past members, specifically because we are public facing for the most part, about our use of Polaris's staff client. So Kathleen, take us away.
Yeah, so for some context, one of our member services librarians, Miyako, was just trying to learn a little bit more about whether, one, do you as public services staff even use the staff client? And if you do, in what way? So I had posted a survey up at the beginning of the meeting in the chat. I'll post it one more time, but essentially it's 2 questions. It won't take you more than 30 seconds to complete. But essentially, like, if you can click and take that at some point before you hang up today, I'd really appreciate it. But that's really it. So you can move on.
All right. So then the next thing I had for Deborah, and I see you here. So Deborah wanted to give us an update about the Polaris server migration. So Deborah.
All right, I'm going to steal the screen share from you, Max. I hope you don't mind.
No problem. Go ahead.
Okay, so I wanted to take this meeting as a chance to just talk through and provide some updates on our upcoming server migration. You may have seen several communications go out via CCS News and the listservs about this. So I wanted to, again, just give that chance to go over together and make sure we can answer any questions that you might have. Okay, so just a quick overview of what the server migration is. Innovative needs to move our Polaris environment over to new servers. We're currently hosted in AWS, Amazon Web Services, but they'll be moving our Polaris environment over to new servers in the Clarivate environment. So this is taking place in 2 parts. The first part was our training server migration, and that is done. That took place last week on March 8th. But the second sort of bigger one is coming up soon, and that's our production server migration, which will take place on Saturday, April 8th through Sunday, April 9th. So the production server migration will begin at 7 p.m. on Saturday, April 8th, after all of our libraries close for the day. I think the latest any library is open is 6 o'clock. If you are open past 7 o'clock, please let me know. I checked everybody's websites, but maybe one slipped through. So if you are open past 7 on Saturdays, shoot me a comment in the chat or send me an email so we can adjust the start time. But anyway, at 7 p.m. on April 8th, the project will begin, and during this time, all of our Polaris services will be down. So our whole database is going to be down. This includes PowerPack or the online catalog, Leap, the client, and then SIP and API authentication. So we picked this weekend because most of our libraries are closed on Sunday, April 9th for Easter. Those libraries that are open on that day, I think there's only 2, Evanston and Lincolnwood. You will need to work in offline mode while you're open. So any questions before I move into sort of our tasks? Check real quick.
No questions.
Okay. All right, so there are a few things that we are asking libraries to do to prepare for the production server migration. And the first one is to provide the new server IP address to all of your vendors that connect to Polaris via SIP or API. We sent out the new IP address for the new production server on March 6th to the IT listserv. So your vendor should update their IP address on April 9th or early on April 10th to ensure like minimal disruption for your patrons. Our old production server IP address will be disabled on the evening of April 8th. So if those vendors don't receive that new IP address, patrons won't be able to connect to whatever tool when we're back up online on Sunday, April 9th. So outside of that IP address, no other SIP or API connectivity info will be changing. So your SIP ports, your SIP username and password, your API keys, all of those stay the same. The only element that is changing is that IP address. So one other note on SIP connected things, in addition to your database, your third-party vendors, the SIP connected tools within your building, like your AMH, your automatic, your sorter, and your self-checks will also need to be updated to use that new IP address as well. The second task list is to, for those of you who use the staff client, is to install the new remote app connection on the computers that, again, need access to the staff client. We don't have that new file, it's not available yet, but we'll send that out to the IT list the week leading up to the migration. At that point, when you install the new file, you'll also need to uninstall the old remote app connection, which basically won't work anymore when our old servers are decommissioned. And then lastly, especially for this group, one thing you may want to do is download any Simply Reports files that live in your Simply Reports account. These files will not migrate over to the new servers. I think most people, when you run a report, you download it right away. However, every time you run a report, it's also saved on our server. You can access your saved Simply Reports files by logging into Simply Reports, opening My Reports, selecting the File Maintenance tab, and then reviewing each report type, ad hoc, saved, and scheduled. And then you just click the name of the report to download that file to your computer. Again, these files won't move over. So if there are any that you might need to retain, just make sure you go in and download it before April 8th. I will just a note for all of you, saved and scheduled reports, those will all migrate over to the new servers, so you don't have to rebuild any reports that you might have saved in your Simply Reports account. So it's just the files themselves that won't make it over. Okay, let me go ahead, stop my share and open it up to any questions. I did receive one question prior to the meeting on whether libraries have to provide alternate authentication for patrons. So one suggestion or heads up that we put in the newsletter was that, again, while this is happening, your patrons won't be able to log into your tools. They won't be able to log into Overdrive, Cloud Library, Hoopla, etc. So if you do want to make sure patrons have continued access to those tools, you can talk with those vendors to provide some sort of alternate authentication. I know I heard from one library that they had worked with Overdrive and I think Canopy to provide to switch to like barcode authentication. So a patron could log in with a barcode matching, you know, the prefix and then the 14 digits. Just to allow those patrons to, again, continue to log into Overdrive to check out things. But again, that's optional. It's really up to you if that's something you want to provide. You are 100% welcome to just say, hey, patrons, stuff's going to be down for 24 hours. So we don't have any requirement that you provide an alternate way for patrons to access those tools, but you definitely can if you want to. So I don't know if anyone wants to pop in the chat kind of what your plans are, if you're providing just to say, hey, everyone, for 24 hours, we're going to be down, or if you're working with your vendors to kind of get around that. And I see Liz in the chat, so that Huntley worked with Overdrive and Canopy to have a temporary workaround. So again, that seems like it's an option if you want to pursue that path, but not required. Okay, well, hearing no more questions, I will turn it back to Meg, but if you are thinking of something after the meeting, just feel free to reach out to me. You can open a ticket or give us a call, and we're happy to walk you through any questions you might have. And thank you all for the work you've done so far.
All right, thank you, Deborah. That was very helpful. And again, if you have any other questions that come up after the meeting, please reach out to us. All right. So then I also have the next thing is from Rachel, and it is a quick reminder of how you can search PowerPack by call number. So Rachel, take it away.
Recently, I received a question about how to search for call numbers in the PAC. This can only be done as a Boolean search. Boolean is listed in the search drop-down menu at the bottom of the menu. The image of the screen depicts the syntax that you could use. So you would only have to type call equals, and then type the number in quotation marks. The results will not appear in a call number order as a default, so you will need to change that order of the results. You may also find that it could be helpful to add in other fields into a Boolean search, like home library, audience, language, collection. And so for more information on the syntax and the different commands and access points that you can use in the PAC, you can refer to this link in the slides. This link will be available in the slides, and I've already uploaded it to the calendar event on the CCS website, and we can send it out after the meeting. And there's one other thing I'd like to go over that I forgot to add to the agenda because it came up just yesterday. So we have a new canceled publication procedures that was approved at yesterday's acquisitions meeting. And I'd like to go over that because the new procedures does include sending an email out to pass. So due to a lack of response by some libraries, CCS staff have been asked to play a stronger role as the main point of contact for canceled publication procedures. I drafted a new procedure, and acquisitions technical group approved of the procedure yesterday. I've already updated the webpage. There's a link at the bottom of the slide to the webpage. And this new procedure will involve CCS staff sending the email to both acquisitions and past listservs so that the items can be canceled and the holds can be, so the items can be deleted and the holds can be canceled. So the procedure begins with acquisition staff emailing the help desk to let us know that the publication has been canceled. CCS staff will then add publication canceled to the title field, uncheck the display and pack settings of the item and bibliographic records, add the title to a record set, and then email the acquisitions and past listservs to announce the publication has been canceled. The email will state that staff need to delete the item records and cancel the holds within 3 weeks. Each library will contact the designated department to request that the holds are canceled. If the library does not delete the items and cancel the holds after 3 weeks, CCS staff will do so for the library without contacting the patron. Right now, the notifications for canceled holds are not active for most libraries. There's only one library that has opted to allow those notifications. The system sends out too many notifications when hold maintenance is being done. For example, if you are moving item level holds to the title level, a notification would be sent out to the patron. However, if you are interested in turning this on, it is an option. Bob has created a new saved SQL query. It's in the list of bibliographic record queries that you can use to find the canceled publications that have holds on it for your library. It is called Holds on Canceled Publications. To use the query, you will just need to change the library branch code for your organization ID to your number. It's fairly easy to use. After you change that number, you can press the downward facing arrow to apply that change, and then the search icon. And the bibliographic record list will appear. Are there any questions?
How do you find your library's number? I mean, I didn't know we had a number, you know, to change it to be our specific library. So is there a list somewhere? I mean, it may, or maybe it's a circ known item and not public access.
There is a list. I will find the webpage for you and paste in the chat. I've placed it on the website in the technical services pages. One moment.
Rachel, I got you. It's in the chat. I feel like I look at that
Okay.
page all the time. Yeah.
I think another place you can see it, where I knew about it from Polaris, is if you're doing an advanced search in Leap. When you go to choose your library, I think it usually does say like next to it. So like that's kind of where I've seen that before. But I agree that as public service, I rarely need to know that number. So that's good that there's a link that has that listed there. Any other questions? Or anything else Rachel wants to add?
I pasted a link to the page with the canceled publication procedures in the chat.
Excellent. And we can try to make sure that we've got those in the minutes as well when we send those out eventually. So we've got those. All right. Then if that's all about that subject, thank you very much, Rachel. That's helpful and good to know about. And I will steal the screen back. So let me go into that. Okay. And then the next thing we have on our agenda is Kathleen wanted to do a reminder about item level hold. So Kathleen.
So this is exactly what it sounds like. I guess at our interlibrary loan and CERC group, they had just mentioned seeing a large, seems like an increase in people placing item level holds. So it's just a reminder, don't do that. Place a hold on the bib record and not on the item as much as possible. Just because it makes it a lot harder to process the pick list when things are placed at that item level and patrons don't get things as quickly. So keep your holds bib level. That's really it. Thanks, Meg.
No problem. And yeah, and hopefully that's something that, especially if you have newer staff possibly or some turnover, just to show them the difference. Because I know when I've trained and onboarded some people, that's sometimes a harder concept to grasp. So, and to know when to use an item level, for instance, patrons literally coming in for that copy in the next 5 minutes versus patron just wants a copy when it comes in, doesn't care where it's from. So good thing to remember about that when you're onboarding. All right. So then if there's nothing else to discuss today, we can, I think I'm going to go ahead and make a call for adjournment. But before I do that, just any last minute things, anything in the chat that we missed? Give people a minute. All right. Okay, well, our next meeting is going to be in June, but that doesn't mean that we can't help out between now and then. Myself, Kathleen, all the very helpful folks over at CCS are available for your questions. And we also have an email listserv. So if you have questions that you need to kind of get answered before June, again, feel free to reach out and we will make that happen for you. So without further ado, I'd like to call for a motion for adjournment.
This
I'll
is-
motion to adjourn. Oops, sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Zach at McHenry Library.
Okay.
And I'll second Nancy from Crystal Lake.
All right, having a motion in a second. Have a good rest of your day, folks, and I hope you found this meeting useful. Thanks very much.